I've never felt like I fit neatly into one title. Photographer, writer, designer, filmmaker, each of those feels true, but none of them capture the whole picture. For me, being a multi-hyphenate creative is about movement, moving between the mediums, letting one practice feed another, and building a life where art, design, memory, and storytelling all overlap. This video is a reflection on what that looks like for me and how other artists have shown me that creativity can be expansive, fluid, and limitless. We live in a world that tells us to choose a path, to pick one thing and stay there. It's how we're raised, how capitalism teaches us to function. But what happens when you're called to different paths, when your curiosity won't stay in one lane? Most people don't always understand that, and while this way of creating can be deeply fulfilling, it can also be misunderstood, especially in spaces that value specialization over exploration. For many of us, being multi-hyphenate means constantly navigating a world that asks for proof that we belong, that what we do is legitimate, that it's not confusion, but expansion. But maybe that's the point. To create a path so fluid, so intertwined, that it can't be easily defined. This video is a reflection of my journey as a creative, but also a reflection of some muses that I've looked to growing up, even before I knew what a multi-hyphenate creative was. When I think about what it means to live as a multi-hyphenate, it's more than just juggling different roles. It's an ethos, a way of moving through the world. It's about embracing diverse expressions, letting one skill inform another, and constantly learning across mediums. It's choosing to design a life on your own terms, where the work you love is interconnected and intentional. I always say that photography is how I express myself the best and the most. It's how I interpret the world around me. It's the medium that I've technically developed the most out of everything, but I've always been someone, as a child, someone who's been interested in drawing and painting, in sculpting, in writing. And as I've gotten older and kind of deeper into my creative practice, I've really tried to embrace that multi-hyphenate energy. I started to even get more into my creative juices when I just stopped overthinking about how I could make pieces fit and how things could relate to each other, and just embracing my interests and that childlike energy that you have to learn and to do something new, I think has been such a game changer for me in my creativity. I started with photography, which became a way to document everyday life, which naturally grew into creative direction, videography, and writing, even as personal as reflecting on my family archive. I've explored print and graphic design, archiving, crocheting, and so much more. For me, being multi-hyphenate isn't about doing a little bit of everything. It's about building a language across mediums that reflects who I am and the worlds that I want to create. What happens when you embrace everything that you're interested in? What does your life look like when you are tapping into different parts of your interest? When you are tapping into different parts of your interest in different seasons of your lives? For me, being a multi-hyphenate creative, I almost think about it as like, these are different chapters of my story and my life. This season is very focused on writing and expressing myself from words. The next season might really be dedicated to interpreting the world and using imagery to interpret the world, right? When I reflect on my creative journey right now, I think me embracing that framework and that thought process has really been a game changer for me, because I'm like, I'm doing this for the purpose of learning. I'm doing this for the purpose of self-expression. I'm doing this for the purpose of building my world out and understanding myself as a creative. Before I even had the language to describe what it meant to be a multi-hyphenate creative, I had already witnessed it in Pharrell Williams. He was my first real exposure to someone who refused to be defined by a single title. At first, I only knew him as a musician, but it didn't take long to realize his reach extended so much further. Pharrell was designing sneakers like the ice creams, shaping streetwear through Billionaires Boys Club, producing genre-defining records, performing his own music and collaborating across worlds from hip-hop to luxury fashion. What struck me, even though I couldn't articulate it then, was how seamlessly he moved between them. There was no separation between music, fashion, or design, and it all felt like one creative ecosystem. Looking back now, I realized Pharrell was the blueprint, the first artist who showed me that creativity doesn't have to live in one box. It can spill across mediums, evolve through collaboration, and constantly reimagine itself. His ethos has always been rooted in play, in experimentation, and in curiosity. He refused to be pinned to a single identity, and in doing so, he turned creativity into a new way of life, not just a career. Pharrell's universe has only just expanded, from producing with the Neptunes and NERD, to designing with Louis Vuitton, Chanel, and Adidas, even exploring furniture design. Each collaboration feels like a new language and a new way of expressing the same imagination. For me, Pharrell was the proof that boundaries between mediums were imaginary. He was the spark, the foundation for how I came to see artists like Solange, Sean Brown, and Tyler the Creator. Solange embodies what it means to be a multi-hyphenate. She's not just a musician, she's a performer, a curator, and the visionary mind behind Heron, a creative platform that archives and celebrates Black artistry. Her work moves fluidly between mediums, music, visual art, architecture, performance, showing that creativity isn't about staying in one lane, but about building an ecosystem where every part feeds the other. From her conceptual albums like A Seat at the Table and When I Get Home, to her architectural installation Bridges and her museum performance that blur sound, space, and movement, Solange creates worlds that breathe. Even composing for the New York City Ballet, becoming the first Black woman to do so, she continues to expand what artistry can look like. It's not about performance, it's a way of life. Through St. Heron, she's building a digital archive and library dedicated to preserving and amplifying the work of Black artists, thinkers, and dreamers. It's more than a platform. It's a living, breathing act of cultural preservation, a space where Black stories aren't just remembered, but revered. What I love most about Solange is her willingness to experiment, to try, to fail, and to begin again in the public view. Even her glassware collection, small matter art objects, feels like an extension of her practice, turning everyday design into something sacred. Whether she's composing, directing, or designing, each project carries the same intention: to create beauty with meaning. Tyler the Creator is audacity in motion, a disruptor who's never played by the rules. From co-founding Odd Future to building Golf Wang and Camp Flog Gnaw, his creative world feels like less like a brand and more like an ecosystem. Every idea grows into the next. A song sparks a video sparks a clothing line becomes a festival. He designs worlds, his music, his visuals, his fashion, they all exist in conversation with each other. It's proof that being a multi-hyphenate isn't about doing everything at once, but about creating a universe where every medium feeds the other. Tyler has turned self-expression into a language of freedom. His style has always been a statement that creativity can be loud, irreverent, and deeply intentional all at once. When Igor arrived, it felt like the culmination of everything he'd been building, a collision of hip-hop, jazz, gospel, and performance art that blurred every boundary imaginable. Sean Brown's career is rooted in design, but deliberately expansive. Fashion, branding, furniture, photography, music packaging, he moves fluidly across them all, treating each medium as part of a larger conversation. He's the founder of Curves by Sean Brown, a home goods brand that turns everyday objects like CD-shaped rugs into collectible design pieces. It's playful, familiar, and deeply intentional, transforming nostalgia into form. Sean shows that being multi-hyphenate isn't about doing everything, but about recognizing how disciplines overlap, how an eye for graphics can become product design, how photography can inform branding, how art and commerce can exist without compromise. Before Curves, there was Needs and Wants, his elevated take on sportswear, paired with a lifestyle publication that explored architecture, travel, and design. It wasn't just clothing, it was context, an early glimpse into how Sean builds worlds and not just products. His work often resists labels: designer, photographer, archivist, all true, but not complete. because what he really does is reimagine how culture lives in objects, how the everyday can hold memory, story, and meaning. And maybe that's what makes his work so human. Sean Brown reminds me that design is a world without limits. It's a way of seeing, of creating things that hold space for both beauty and life. Curiosity is such a big part of being a multi-hyphenate creative, because I find a lot of creatives that I look up to, they are creating for themselves, low-key, right? Like things that they find interesting, things that they're missing in their lives, things that they want to see, essentially how they want to see the world. You're creating for something that you want to see in this world. And even that's a big ethos for a lot of the creatives that I look up to as well. It's like, hey, actually, I want to experience the world in this way. I want to see this in the world. I want to feel this way in the world. So I'm going to use my skills, my interest, build on top of that to create something new for this world. That's why I'm such a big fan of design in general, whether it is like industrial design, urban design, designing from a place of curiosity, designing from a place of problem solving, but also designing from a place of fun. I think creativity is about having fun and embracing your childlike qualities. For me, being a multi-hyphenate creative is about weaving together the practices that matter the most: photography, writing, design, archiving, and storytelling, and letting them speak to each other. It's about honoring where I come from, the memories I hold, and the futures that I imagine. And it's about trusting that creativity doesn't have to be one-dimensional, that it can be expansive, layered, and constantly evolving just like we are. Because maybe the goal was never to choose one path, but to build a world where all of them can coexist.